The story of a china doll. An elderly couple passed a shop with china creations. As they looked in, they saw an extraordinary beautiful china figurine. It was exquisite. They went in to price the item, but was informed that it was not for sale. It was as if the china doll smiled. You would not think that her beauty came at a cost. It came to her with a great cost. She was discovered by the master, broken, dirty, and neglected. He picked her up. She squirmed in his hands, aware of her ugliness. He, however, smiled and took her to his shop. First he washed her, to get rid of all the dirt surrounding her and clinging to her. She spluttered and protested, but soon the ordeal was over. He patched her and then put her in the kiln to bake. She could scarcely take the heat, was about to faint when he took her out. Then he painted her. Then, horror of horrors, placed her back in the kiln. No begging, no crying, nothing helped her to skip this trial. Eventually she was released, and after some cooling time was doused with a very smelly liquid that threatened to make her retch, and back into the oven she went. Now she was angry. Bitter tears flowed from her cheek. She felt abused and wished he left her where he found her. Then he took her out and held her carefully and lovingly and admiringly. She could not understand. Then the potter placed her in front of a mirror. She looked and wondered who that immaculate and beautiful-looking girl could be. And the potter said, "Yes, my dear, this is you." All the anger flowed out of her as she realized that every painful subjection to what seemed like torture, in actual fact, became the means of this amazing transformation. When we submit our wills into the hands of the potter, it may feel at first as if we were imprisoned by the wishes of the potter. But it is good to realize, says Louisa, that in the divine hands your will loses its weakness and miseries as well as all ills, and thus we can be sure of living in the divine will. Additionally, such is the love of Jesus. He sighs and he also sobs because he wants his reign, his will to reign in us as life, that he does not leave us alone. He himself descends to the bottom of our will to shape it, strengthen it, purify it, prepare it, and do together with us that which we do. And the wonderful thing is, you need not be religious to do this. The holiness of living in the divine will is for all, but to tell you the truth, it is for those who want it. Therefore, put yourself to work and say to Jesus with all your heart, "I firmly want your will. I repeatedly want your will. I truly want your will." And Jesus will perform the miracles. Further, all you do and suffer will serve as materials to grow into the likeness and love of God. To live God's will is not to subdue us into nothingness. It is not to control us. Living God's will is to enter into a love relationship where we know God so well that our relationship is so deep that we simply sense what His will is, and we will comply because of our love for Him and His deep love for us. And as we live in this divine will and live the divine will. We will become what God originally planned for us. Fullness of life, of love, and of light.